Sup dogs, it's roughly 6:30 a.m. on Saturday. Snow is falling on April 12th, and if you're anyone like me, you're thinking it doesn't make a single bit of sense. But then you remember that you live in New England, so you make yourself a cup of coffee and get ready for a fun morning of game dev. Name's TheOdie, and I am working on a horror game called The Haunting of the Gia Wilson Family. It takes inspiration from horror movies in the late 2000s, such as Paranormal Activity, Insidious, Conjuring, and many more. Sup dogs, how you doing? Hope you're having a wondrous day. Wondrous, wonderful, fantastic day, and that your month of April has also been just as good. It's been a while since I've last touched the game development. It's actually been like 2 weeks. I've just been working on a couple of other videos, but now that those videos are done, it is time to start working on it again. But just to catch you guys up, in the past 2 weeks, have created this Steam game page, although right now it is definitely in 100% live. At the moment, it's just in its draft mode, and it has yet to go up there. And then there's also the itchio game page version. So if you're interested in seeing how to go through this process, I do not show how to upload the game just yet, just creating the game pages. Then you guys can check it out down in the descriptions. But we're back. It's Devlog 6. It's May for you guys, but still April for me. It's actually an interesting weekend because on April 14th, it's actually Khmer New Year, and it lasts for 3 days. But here in the States, we kind of just celebrate on the weekend only. And it's a lot different over in the country of Cambodia. Apparently, it's like this huge countrywide celebration, and it marks the end of the farming season and the beginning of the harvesting season. So kind of like you've worked hard for the entire year, it is now time to collect the fruits of your labor. Something like that, however that saying goes. But here in the States, it's a little bit more religious bound. I myself am not too religious. A lot of Cambodians follow Buddhism, so what they'll do is they'll go to the temple and they'll pray, hope for good luck to come in the coming year, and to wash all the bad luck away from the last year. There's a little bit more to it than that, but that's kind of like the whole idea for it. As you saw in the intro of this video, it's kind of snowing right now. I don't want to go out. I also am not really huge on going to it because I'm not too religious myself. But there are some fun festivities with it. A lot that involves water and shaving cream. And all of this is kind of symbolic. The shaving cream probably a little bit more interesting. But it's kind of to dab luck onto a person when you hit them with shaving cream. It's literally pouring a fist full of shaving cream and then slapping it on their face. If you were a kid. But for adults, it's more like patting it, of course. But, you know, I had enough of that growing up, so I don't think I will celebrate. That said, let's get back into game development. I've been working on this bad boy. It's currently off. It looks dusty, so it's like, have you really been? But yeah, I have. So over the past week, I've been working on this, and you're actually hearing it in the background right now. It's for the title card, and I guess just to give you the full-on vibe, here's what it looks like. The idea is that once it hits here, or this space oboe is, that's when it transitions into that blue mode, or the dark or haunting mode. Blue mode. But guys, it's finally time to work on the opening scene. So originally, my idea was to have it transition and see each of the rooms, or just a couple of the rooms, and also display some of the credits. But since like 90% of this game is just me, does it make sense to be like, scripted by TheOdie, change to a different scene, music by TheOdie, change to a different scene, written by TheOdie? It's like, okay, we get it. This TheOdie person, you made this game on your own. I feel like it's kind of cringy. So I think what I'm just gonna do is like an opening scene, have a transition, kind of just to build some tension, and then eventually go through the title card and just put one credit that just says created by TheOdie. It probably won't have as much as an impact, but I guess we'll see. We'll see how it looks. Yeah. Let's go. So, for the intro, I decided to have a low and airy horror sound effect play, which is pretty much what you're hearing now. It was something that I saw done for Insidious, and I liked it. Originally, I was going to create an opening BGM, but I thought this paid a better homage to the movies. Another thing that Insidious did was showed stills of the house in black and white, and even showed some of the family members sleeping. Granted, if you've seen the movie, you know exactly why they did that, but it actually also played a role in my game. So right now it's 11 a.m. I lost track of time. I think I've been working on this for an hour and a half so far, but I still got a long ways to go. Just wanted to jump in to show you how far I've gotten before I take a break. And here we go. So it's going to be really hard to tell, but we're going to start off gray with a slight tint of blue, and then we're going to move our ways over to the nighttime shading. And this is where you really start to see that nighttime shade. And then we're jumping in between different rooms as well as different zoom ins. So this is actually slightly more zoomed in than the first living room. And then my plan is to add Tommy down here, and we're going to see a little bubble of him just sleeping. So like the Z's. I think that would be pretty neat. And then this is kind of just an empty hallway. I don't know if I want something to move here, but I think I want to have something move in the screen with Tommy. Though, in this screen, there is a little bit of movement. I don't know if you caught it, but it already happened. And then, this point, we're kind of just looking at this to kind of... It's Angkor Wat. I have to like point it out somehow. But we are slowly transitioning to the day, and I do want to have the title card come up at this point, and then have the two kids running off upwards into the kitchen. And then we're now fully in the morning time, and we're going to see the kids run just off down, and then in here, and then the opening sequence will actually play out from that point. So as you guys can imagine, there's still a lot I gotta play around, especially with timing and definitely with more sound effects. I think I want to have the music box, a little BGM of the music box go off in the background somewhere before or as it transitions into the daytime. And then I also want to put created by TheOdie somewhere in this opening sequence. So it's slowly coming together, but it just goes to show the amount of patience needed, and especially the not really rewrite, but the amount of things I have to change up in my previous code for setting all the scenes. So I decided to have it run completely off of this common event so that I can transition and go through everything all in one event command thingy mabooper. So in set scene, I have to actually jump to avoid everything in this middle portion here, because at the very end there is a transfer player, and this actually causes stuff in the opening sequence to be overwritten or looped, and it gets weird because for each map I do set the scene here. So, to avoid it, as you already saw and probably figured out for yourself, I just use a jump to label. And that's how I avoid things for certain cutscenes. And then all of this here is kind of just initializing the map, setting it whether it's in nighttime or in the morning. But for the most part, the bulk of the engine of this opening sequence is inside this one common event. One thing I completely forgot that I think will be helpful for you guys in the future or at some point, so if you are running your trigger on Autorun, which is really what you have to do when using a common event to run through an entire engine, jumping between different maps, it's that wherever your common event is, aka the start screen for mine, if you do any set movement commands, it will be based on the map that it initialized in. So the start map, which is map ID 20, only has one event, but originally, once we jump into the playroom, I wanted this to command the door and the playroom to slightly nudge open, but as it turns out, it's basing everything off of this map instead of the playroom map. So it actually could not find this door at all. It skipped this entire sequence. So instead, I put it in the door, have it on parallel process, so that it can still slightly nudge and have things move on the screen. It's a little annoying thinking about it in the future, because if I want to have other things for this door, I just have to be mindful with the placement of my event pages, but it's only slight hassle, not really too much of a big deal. Bottom line, I'm kind of lazy. So it's like, if I don't have to worry about it in the future, I don't want to worry about it. Anyway, I think this calls for a good time to take a break, because I am hungry. Don't think I have anything going on for lunch right now, though. So, this calls for my favorite part of the fridge. Frozen section, baby! I think today we're gonna have some dumplings. This is actually harder than it looks. I'm just using the camera. Good morning, you guys. Right now it's 9:30 a.m. Sunday morning, and I've been working little by little, adding a little more detail, just a little bit more in this little intro. But you guys saw it. I did Tommy and his little Z bubbles. Originally, I was thinking about using the show balloon icon, but then I decided you can't exactly tell RPG Maker where to put that balloon icon. I didn't really bother looking into Visual Stella, because I think Visual Stella can offset the balloon, but I was kind of like, meh, I'm gonna just make a character sheet, and that's kind of what I ended up doing, as you saw. And then, what you also saw was me trying to figure out the title card and how it will display. I decided to do a slow fade in, and then just a fade off. But the fun part about that is that I create a couple of different variations, which is just a color change between the warm and cold tones I use for the title cards, and then a mix of both. So there's 4 in total, all yellow, all blue, half yellow, half blue, and the other way around. And whenever you start the game, whenever you see it, it will be random between one of those 4. So it's like a small Easter egg of sorts to kind of tell the player that, hey, your experience may differ, and try and catch the little details because there will be plenty of it. And on that note, I also added a little bit of hidden movements and objects throughout the intro, and I will continue to do so. And I think that's going to be the fun part. But right now, I am working on this. So pretty much all I did was take some screenshots, as you can for the most part see in this little corner, and then figuring out where I want to put the text. I think right at the opening. This way they know that we're looking at credits that's going to roll, and that there will be a title card presenting itself towards the end of it. So this is the very first clip that the player will see, and I wasn't so sure if I want to do Nightmarepugstudios present, because that's kind of where the publisher comes into play. And while I don't plan to send this game to a certain publisher, or any for that matter, it does make me wonder that if at one point far in the future I do decide to do so, will I have to come back in here and change this? But anyway, I also was wondering if I should do created by TheOdie or created by Nightmarepugstudios. But man, it's really conflicting. I did this to myself. Because the thought process behind here is that I wanted Nightmarepugstudios to be for the commercial games, and then TheOdie is kind of just, hey, it's me, YouTuber TheOdie, messing around here on YouTube, trying out experiments, pushing it out to you guys, whether ends up being a buggy mess or ends up being great. So I'm thinking now, if I just have it in the intro where it says Nightmarepugstudios present, and then go through all the clips, and then at the very end, the title card, The Haunting of the Gio Wilson Family. I think that's the one I'm going to go with. Okay, that's the plan. But right now, I am hungry. I did go to the gym for a quick 30-minute cardio, and I want to eat. Except I still don't have anything too good in my fridge. I did end up going to Yard House last night with my girlfriend and her cousins. And we do have leftover Sichuan noodles. Want to check it out? Here it is! I'm such a lazy dude. I should cook myself something. But it's right here. It's screaming at me. I'm a huge fan of Sichuan food. But in terms of authenticity for this at Yard House, yeah. In Sichuan food, there's a lot of numbing spice, and I didn't feel too much of it in this. I did have a little bit of it, but it wasn't all there. And the taste is also a little bit off. Can't really describe it, but yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna eat it. Thanks for helping me decide, guys. I am fed. I have donned on my focus gown, and I am now prepared to finish this up. So this next part, what I plan to do is that once the title screen hits here, or once we hit here in the opening sequence and then the title screen starts to appear, towards the second half of it, as it's about to fade, I want the two kids to run this way and up, and then what's going to do is jump into the hallway, and then the kids are going to run over and down. So pretty much what that means is, based on my experience, I do not use the set movement route inside the common event with all of this. Instead, it has to be on each of the maps. And I just gotta work with the timing to make sure it's all good. Sorry, it's been a while since our last vlog, so I realized that I was bobbing this all over the place like I'm drunk. No, better yet, you guys are drunk. Because this is your POV, right?
There are two big considerations I need to do here. One, figure out the speed of the kids, and two, footsteps. I'll start with number two since that may be a little bit more confusing. The simple solution here would be to add a footstep sound effect for each of the two characters and play them after each movement. However, and this is out of personal preference, I find that too many footstep sounds at the same time can be disorienting. I would even go as far as to say that it can sound unappealing. I think what makes it most difficult, especially in a scene like this, is that we don't have a point of reference. There's no established main character just yet, and as such, we can't establish a varying distance of sound. So when everything plays at once, it kinda just sounds like one big muddled mess. The other thing I mentioned was speed. The decision here is more important than you think. What I set as the speed at this very moment will establish the speed for the rest of the game. Slower speeds mean that I can convey visuals better, but it tends to pull back on the psychology of rush and panic. It also means that when an event happens, this is a set speed of sprint for the player. As you can imagine, there are other factors I need to consider as well. I need to make sure that the speed fits the size of the map, the ability of the player to make a decision, and for them to see what's happening on screen. If you ever played Caster's Trap or Captive, this is exactly the reason why I disabled sprint or set it to a slower pace altogether.
Okay, so I just finished it, and here's a dry run sample. And I don't like it at all. My thoughts is that the sprites kind of look a little bit too stiff. I don't really get that sense of urgency of Tommy running for his life, poking fun at Measy. I think it's because of that RPG Maker standard sprite image of their stepping animation. So what I'm going to do is redo their sprites, one that actually looks like they're running, and hopefully that'll add a more stronger intensity to it. But I don't feel like doing that right now. So I am going to chill for a bit and probably poke at it a little bit throughout the week. And hopefully by next weekend, you guys will get to see that. So guys, a glug of water to progress. So dogs, so a week has gone by, and I did as I promised. Here is Tommy. Here is Maisie. Why are they in two different apps? I have no real answer for that. But overall, I think it came out pretty well. I always find like the middle one to be super awkward, especially the left and right ones. They're like floating in free space, supposedly. Or like little bunny rabbits mid-jump. But it doesn't matter. It goes by so fast you don't even see that single frame that well. You see these guys, the ones on the sides, more often than the one in the middle. But I also decided to bring up the speed on them for when they run, and we will go and check it out. There they are, there they are, there they are! Oh my god, did you see them? They just flew by so fast! You blinked and you missed it! But don't worry, you get another chance, Oh my god, there they are! Oh my god! Ah! So there are a couple of additions that I want to do for that scene. I decided that I'm going to add a music box just to play in the background, very low volume, to see if the player catches that. And then what I want to do is have like little text that it pops up to, you know, do the intro thing. And then I want to finish up by having that first sequence play out where Tommy is trying to hold the door back, and then I think I'm going to do a button mash sequence. Either, I don't know whose perspective I want it to be, either Tommy's perspective or Maisy's perspective, so we will kind of figure that out as we go by. First things first, I do want to show you that I've been redoing a couple of the music box. I decided that the original one I created, which you hear in a lot of the shorts, if you guys seen any of it, it didn't really match the tone too well. It does a great job for the short, but I want to go with something a little bit slower to make it feel a little bit more ominous. I feel this one is a little bit too adventurous, so I don't think I'll go with that one. This one's a little bit too cutesy and more like a lullaby. I also don't want it. And this one was just messing around. This one I kinda like, but I don't yet love it. I think I'm going to change the bass and see what I can do on that end. I do like that it has a slight lullaby to it. It kind of reminds you of Twinkle Twinkle Little Star in the beginning, but then it kind of goes off in its own, and it kind of feels a little bit creepy and a little bit eerie as it continues, and that's why I kind of like this one. This one, I was like, I think this sounds pretty good as like a transition or a suspense music effect. So I decided to just keep that for now. And then this one. That one I was kind of just plucking around in the morning, trying to get a different vibe from that Twinkle Twinkle one. But overall, I think I will go with the Twinkle Twinkle and then just figure out what I want to do for the second half. But when it comes to music, it's always a challenge. So I think I'm just going to tackle the music portion throughout the week, slowly and steadily. And for now, what I'm going to do is finish up this cutscene, as well as do that button mash event, and maybe I'll talk about it a little bit and how I make one. It's actually it's an extremely easy process. The part that I hate most is having to create the assets, which is the spacebar or whatever. It like takes you out of the zone to go into a different app and then come back into RPG Maker, because you're like, eventing, and then oh wait a second, let me just create this real quick. Okay, let's finish this up. Anyway, I'm gonna do it.
So I totally oopsie-teared and deleted my text box that I set up in testing earlier. Anyway, what I'm trying to do here is find the X and Y coordinates to show the picture of the character portrait based upon the position of the text box. I had this set up earlier, but this is what happens when you take a 2-week hiatus. You just see a random common event. It looks like just a random testing event, so you delete it, of course. Certainly, you guys can relate, right? Right? Anyway, I decided to set the text position using common events. I set a variable to 0, 1, and 2, which is the bottom, middle, and top respectively. Call the common event to get the X and Y coordinates of the face portrait, which is setting 2 variables, and then I display it. There was a minor inconvenience here though. I wanted the face portrait to display above the text box, so when the text box is at the top, I'd have to nudge the entire box down several pixels. Luckily, I'm using Visustellis Message Core Script, not sponsored. So I was able to offset whenever I wanted it displayed on the top. While setting all that up, I didn't actually think I would display a text box at the top all that often, but as irony goes, displaying it at the top was the first text box I needed. Alright guys, so here's the button masher event, and it's actually super easy. It's really just 2 common events. We'll start with this one, and this one is on parallel process, and it's just to show the button press, a space button that's unpress, and a space button that is press. You honestly don't need this. This is just what I'm using because I want to shake the screen every 120 frames. And then this is really the important part here, and I guess same here. We're incrementing a timer, starts at 0, and then as long as that number is between 0 and 20, it will display an unpressed button, and if it's between 20 and 40, it will display a press button. So it's animating then to tell the player to press and spam the space bar. And if you don't know what this operation is, it is modulus, and pretty much it just takes that number divided by 40, and then this is the value of the remainder. So 0 to 20 unpressed, 20 to 40 pressed. Alright, now in button masher, this is where we turn on that switch for this, and then we're just setting the button masher to 0, and this will increment every single time the player hits the OK button, which is spacebar. And then we're just going to play a sound effect, and then there's just going to be a very small shake every time the player presses the space button. And then once it reaches the cap, which is 30 in my case, it will turn off the switch, which turns off this, and then it breaks the loop so that it may continue onward. There is a wait single frame because this should be included inside an Autorun, not a parallel process. If it is in a parallel process, then do know that the player can still move around. They can still go into their main menu and so on and so forth. So keep it in an Autorun. And that's it. Here it is inside the code to see how it gets called. Button masher. There's that cap I mentioned before. And then once it's done, it is all set. Oh yeah, and an erase picture right after because of this. And honestly, you could have the erase picture inside here, and I'm actually going to do that. There it goes. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy.
Alright, you guys, I decided we're gonna watch this scene together. It will either be a terrible, horrible mess, completely buggy, nothing makes sense, or maybe I'll hit it in one go. Here we go. I also decided to use some labels to skip certain parts of the cutscene. So we're just gonna see the intro living room, and then we're just gonna immediately jump into the dining room, rather than having to sit through and watch all the things in the middle. Okay, so I decided to add this slow zoom. I don't know if I like it because it is very, very choppy, as you can see. It's like an earthquake, but at the same time, it's kind of nice. Be like, oh my god, what's happening? Oh, sorry, I forgot I'm also on Facebook. Also want to work on that sound effect, by the way. Alright, I think I want to zoom back out at this point. Okay, that wasn't too bad. I think it wasn't too bad. I think it was a little bit too fast-paced. I do want to zoom it back out a bit once I go into the hallway and then into that entryway. And I think I do want to slow things down a bit. I think it felt a little bit too fast-paced, and there's just like so much going on. But at the same time, there is supposed to be a lot going on. But I just want to slow it down a bit. Overall, not bad. Not bad. Take two. Alright, here we go. Take two. Intro, Nightmare Pug Studios present. Skip to the next scene. And then into the action. Slow zoom. I decided to zoom it to 600% instead of 700%. And then. There they are. Oh my god, they ran. They're chasing each other. We're gonna jump cut. Okay, maybe I could go in like one. Okay. The jump to black isn't meant to be here. It kind of just happened because we finished up this process and it's just going back to the top, which is 10 screen to 0. So, yeah. It's not bad. Take three. I'm kidding. I think at this point you guys get it, and then I can just finesse it a little bit more, and I don't know if I want to show you it. Yeah, I'll show you guys it. Why not? At the end of the video, I will show you the complete opening sequence, no commentary, uncut, all for you guys. And then that's pretty much the most you'll get, because then we'll be entering into some of the gameplay features that I want to save for when you guys actually play the game. But with that said, I'm ready to take my break. I'm getting a little bit hungry. It's 9:20. My coffee is about empty. But man, just doing this process, watching the little sprites go through their animations, it actually brought me back to like the very first time I was using RPG Maker and how I would animate everything through just like these stepping animations and little effects on screen from the battle animations and all that stuff, and using their little jumps and their bubble icons and all that. It's actually quite hilarious. Back then, I used to try. I was hugely inspired by Kingdom Hearts, and I would try to make a game, a huge, massive adventure game. Never finished it. I put so many hours into it, but it's kind of just it was just a sloppy mess, to be honest. But I remember being so proud of a cutscene, and I showed my best friend at the time, and he was just like, "That's it." And I was just like, "Yeah, it's cool, right? Dude, it's so cool. Oh my god." Super cringy stuff. Anyway, I think this video gone long enough, and I also got to prepare my day to go and play some more One Piece. Here's my record. Hopefully it went well. And next weekend is actually a huge One Piece event but I'll talk about that one in the next vlog. Instead, enjoy the opening sequence. Alright, you guys, hope you enjoyed it. A like would be very much appreciated. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments, and I'll see you in the next vlog. Till then. Oh yeah, I forgot. Don't forget to check out the game page. Alright, back in you go.